Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay, but you know what they say, better late than never. Welcome all to today's Artistic Activism chat hosted by African Rising in collaboration with ACAN, the African Creative Action Network. Today's topic is artistic activism. Today's speakers are all here. Thank you very much for coming. And we're going to be discussing basically artistic activism. Before we get started and before I introduce the speakers, I would like to just get us started by defining two things that will probably be coming up a lot. First and foremost is the definition of art. One of the definitions that I found was the expression of human creative skill and imagination. Another one that I found, which is, I think, a favorite of mine now, is that which evokes emotion. That is the definition for art. And activism can simply be defined as vigorous campaign to bring about change. So we're going to be talking about how these two elements can be put together and how people around Africa are doing this. Our speakers today are Meme David from Nigeria. David, you're very welcome. Kulu Sikazwe from Zambia. You're very welcome, Kulu. Odelia Koroma from Sierra Leone. And sorry, I just want to get everyone's name as correctly as possible. Hacen Diallo. I might have got the last one wrong, but please welcome our speakers. At this point in time, I will give our speakers the floor to just give a brief introduction of themselves, starting with David from Nigeria. David, the floor is yours. You can give us a small introduction about yourself.
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you, the African Rising and ACAN for inviting me. And I'm Meme David, a spoken word poet, a spoken word artist, a writer, a peace advocate, a young influencer for the African Rising, a representative of the YASCO Foundation, and also a representative of the Lolu Culture Foundation. And the aim of why I'm using poetry or why I'm doing poetry is to basically make it a tool for change. I'm also the first runner-up in this year's African Writing Narrative Program with the team my poem When Hunger Becomes a God came first runner-up. I'm also the winner of the Emmy Poetry Contest for January. I was also shortlisted for the Bridget James annual competition in the UK, and many more to come. But I'm a spoken word poet, a writer, a peace advocate. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Next up, we have Kulu Sikazwe.
Yes, so good afternoon all from my end. I want to say a very good afternoon. I hope we are all okay and we are doing fine. Of course, I am Odelia Koroma, based in Sierra Leone. I'm a performing artist. Of course, I'm part of the Africans Rising, and of course, I'm part of ACAN. 2020, I came as the first runner-up for the Artistic Activism Award. Yeah, basically that's me. That's what it like.
Nice, nice, nice. Hakun, you can take the floor and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. It's Hacen Diallo. I understand it's not easy.
Sorry.
Don't worry. So I'm Hacen Diallo. I'm from Mauritania. I was an artist. I'm still an artist also, an artist and activist and a social leader. My journey began in the world of music as a singer and performer. I use art as a mean of expression, dialogue, and cultural connection. I have been part of I think the most actions that I can have created or have made, I was part of it. So now I also present myself as a social activism and a political activism also. Is what I do right now. Yeah.
Great, very multifaceted. Kulu, are you ready to give us an introduction?
Hello.
Yes, Kulu, I can hear you. You
Good
can go ahead.
afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and share my mind with all of you great people. My name is Kulu Sikazwe. I'm a multidisciplined visual artist. I sculpt, I paint, also do some design. But apart from art, I've also studied law. I've got a bachelor's of laws. Well, I think art shouldn't just be beautiful. I think it should also send a message, a positive message that promotes humanity, and a message that pushes our community and family forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kulu. And my name is Itati G Dzekedzeke, and I will be your host for this chat. So I think we can kick it off with a few questions for the panel. I'll start with, let me start with Kulu. How do you, what are your thoughts on murals and visual arts as a communication tool for social justice and messages, and how they can collaborate with local communities? Kulu, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I was saying we'll
Yes.
start off with a question for you. I was saying, how do you, what are your thoughts on murals and visual artworks and how they can communicate social justice through collaboration with communities? Do you see a way in which art can speak to social justice, and have you ever participated in something like that before?
Yes,
or what are your thoughts around
definitely.
that, please? Yeah.
Definitely. Art has always been a medium through which people have communicated. In ancient times, we used to do rock paintings. So the mural space, or even the gallery space, even the museum, give way to an opportunity for dialogue, in the sense that you can go on the ground in different compounds, different communities. You can go in prisons, in hospitals, and have a one-to-one conversations about, and also not just conversation where you're speaking, but also listening to what's going on on the ground. That gives an opportunity for more insight on what the general masses are thinking and feeling. And that in itself is a collaborative process. That engagement with different folks from different backgrounds. So what visuals do, they provide thousands of opportunity of meaning and translation. So if you put that in an image, it carries a certain power that words alone cannot manage to carry. And what artists need to be doing is being more aware of the voices of the people and what's going on, and try by their level best to communicate that eloquently.
Interesting. So you're saying it's a very collaborative process. You're sort of mirroring what the community is going through and presenting it to them, but also giving them enough room to sort of interpret and give meaning to what you're saying. So sort of letting their imaginations run wild as well, huh?
Most definitely.
I see. All right. My next question goes to David, who does spoken word, which is drastically different from visual in that it's very direct, it's very spoken. David, my question to you is, seeing as what's been happening in Africa and just around the world, how does poetry serve as a form of resistance and healing in today's climate, and how can it bring social change and community action?
Okay, thank you very much. And for me, Africa, firstly, Africa is a drum, and we are the hands that beat it. And we must learn to not beat it soft, but loud enough to shut injustice. And for me, my poetry has been able to move beyond just mere emotion, but also to motion. And anytime I have the opportunity to speak, I always let younger people know, young people like me know that, you see, there is no better tomorrow. There is only a better every day. Because 10 years ago, somebody said tomorrow is going to be better, but 10 years now, the person is also regretting some certain decisions that he or she made. So every time I have the opportunity to speak to certain people, I always let them know that poetry itself is a tool for change, a tool for advocacy, a tool for activism. And poetry can do a lot of things that normally we are not going to do. Now, poetry itself speaks certain things that on a normal day we not want to do, like injustice, corruption, and a whole lot of things. But poetry has this form of way to bring it in different figurative languages, like metaphors, similes. So basically, poetry itself can be a tool for change and can spark community action. And I had the privilege to present at an event in Nigeria. And while I was presenting, after presenting, a woman came to meet me and she said, listening to me alone, she was remembering a lot of things, a lot of decisions that she nearly committed suicide immediately after the event. So for me, poetry itself is a form of healing. I know they say that healing takes time, but intentionality makes it faster. What poetry does is that poetry itself makes healing better and faster. Because one thing you need to know is that there are a lot of people that just need you to say something. There are a lot of people that need you to say something because a lot of people are going through a lot of things. And Africa will only change if Africans change. The world will only change if the people in the world change. So that is one of the things we really need to understand. And I feel like poetry is a form of healing because poetry itself is just like a mirror. And the moment you keep speaking, somebody somewhere, somebody somehow is seeing a reflection of themselves, their past decisions, their present decisions, and what they are going to actually do in the next few years or months. Thank you.
You know, you can tell this guy is a poet. I noted down some of the things he said, and I just want to reiterate them. Africa is a drum, and we are the hands that beat it. That was very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So next, I'll move on to Odelia. For those of you who don't know, Odelia performed the African Rising and Borderless Africa song. So, Odelia, my question to you is, how do you use music to inspire hope and unity and actions among youth? Perhaps you can speak into your process in writing your lyrics or your creative process, but how do you use music to basically inspire change and as a tool of activism?
Yeah. So thank you. So for me, performing songs like the African Rising song and the Borderless African song isn't just about the music. It's about using readings, lyrics, emotions as tool for building, movement building, and of course, social change. So as an artistic activist, we actually can be able to inspire hope, unity, action, among the African youth through songs with strong Pan-African messages. So let's say, for instance, we use music as a voice for the voiceless. So through those musics, the artists actually can be able to amplify the dreams, frustrations, and resilience of the African youths. So let's say the lyrics that speaks of struggles and victories, they actually remind the youths that their current challenges and are shared and that change is possible, obviously. And of course, if we say, let's do it celebrating unity across the borders. So the borderless Africa isn't just a slogan, if I may say. It's actually a cultural and a political vision. So when the youth hear music or songs that actually affirms their connections beyond colonial borders, across languages, across tribes, across regions, it actually foster what we call a Pan-African solidarity. So there's a saying which says, music break down barriers, languages, nationality, and even ideology, and it helps young people feel part of something bigger. So you let's say we're looking on the side of the inspiration part of it, inspiring action and civic engagement. So like the Africans Rising song, are often tied to movements, the Africans Rising, and not just movements sometimes, it's not just movement, it's actually a movement song. It's not just a song for the movement to enjoy. It's a song for a movement. Because the lyrics of that song, it actually resonates with a lot of things. The lyrics calls listeners to action, to organize. It calls listeners to speak out. It calls listeners to build and, of course, to dream. So as an artistic activist, the goal is this: speak your truth to power, celebrate African identity, unite the young people across borders, inspire meaningful and, of course, collective actions. So let's say, it actually reflects Africa's diversity while uniting the people. So, for example, the African Rising song, so there is a verse in it that uh, tells listeners we are all part of the song, because in that song, there are a lot of there are verses that I use different forms of languages. There is Swahili, there is Fulani, there is Mende, which is my tribe. There is a local pidgin, which is a Creole, which is part of that song. So using different languages and doing that kind of song, it actually helps people to be part of that story, and it helps them to relate with the song. So that is it.
Thank you very much, Odelia. That was very insightful. And lastly, we have El Hussein. Hope I pronounced it correctly this time. My question to you is, as a member of ACAN, how do you use the network and your music to support and amplify grassroots activism? And maybe you can speak more about your membership in ACAN and how others can get involved and utilize utilize the network, basically. The floor is yours.
Thank you. If you allow me, I would like to do my intervention in French, because I've noticed there is some people who may not understand English, and they would like a little bit to be involved in this discussion. So,
yeah, sure thing. You can go ahead.
yeah, if you do not have an interpretation, so in French, I would like to do it in French. This will be also more fluent for me and more easier for me to go deep and express my ideas. So if it's okay for you.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, rebonsoir. Moi, c'est Hacen Diallo, depuis la Mauritanie. Du coup, je fais partie de l'ACAN depuis ses débuts, hein, depuis la création d'ACAN. À une époque où le réseau cherchait encore à prendre forme, à trouver son identité panafricaine. En ce moment-là, en tant qu'artiste, activiste, j'ai toujours vu dans ce réseau une force collective. Il y avait plusieurs artistes qui venaient de différents horizons, de différents pays. Et notre première rencontre a eu lieu au niveau de Dakar, précisément au niveau du hip-hop, où on a passé presque une semaine d'échanges, de formation sur les différents types, différentes formes d'art, et comment intégrer de l'artistique dans l'activisme. C'est dans ce sens que ça vient, artistique, activisme. Et à travers nos différents types d'art, on a pu faire des actions concrètes sur le terrain, que ce soit la création d'une chanson, d'une vidéo, et aussi de faire une action sur le terrain. On s'est rendu, c'était très fun et c'était très vivant au niveau d'un point rond où on a, avec la collaboration des peintres, des acteurs du milieu cinématographique et artistes-chanteurs, a fait une action collective qu'on a pu relier nos différents types d'art. On a pu faire une activité ensemble qui a vraiment impacté. En ce moment-là, on demandait la libération de Barthélémy Diaz, et après cette action, quelques mois, ça a permis, je dirais, ou ça a contribué à la libération de cet activisme qui était Barthélémy Diaz. ACAN, c'est un réseau qui est encore dans ses débuts. C'est un réseau qui a une vision très lointaine, qui est très forte. Avec la collaboration d'Africa's Rising, on a eu à faire beaucoup d'actions, à défendre plusieurs causes, et pas une situation qui se passait au niveau de la sous-région ou dans le monde, que ce soit sur le climat, sur la violence faite aux femmes, sur la liberté de circulation des gens, etc., et des biens. Tous ces types de combats, on les a menés par le biais de ACAN, en collaboration avec African Rising. On a pu faire beaucoup d'actions. Et là, actuellement aussi, on veut faire renaître encore, pour dynamiser encore de nouveau ce mouvement, qui est un très beau mouvement et qui comporte plusieurs artistes actuellement qui ont des noms et qui sont reconnus nationalement, internationalement. Sachant comme je disais tantôt, que c'est un mouvement qui dépasse juste ma personne. J'inviterai les gens aussi à nous rejoindre dans ce sens. C'est très facile, c'est très facile de rejoindre ce mouvement. Il faut juste s'approcher que ce soit de moi, des autres membres d'ACAN, que ce soit l'African's Rising ou sur les différentes plateformes. Aussi, on pense à engager une campagne dans ce sens pour inviter les gens à nous rejoindre. ACAN nous a permis de grandir. ACAN nous a permis personnellement surtout de me faire un très grand réseau. Par le biais d'ACAN, j'ai eu à beaucoup voyager, à rencontrer beaucoup de personnalités et ça m'a beaucoup permis de grandir sur comment exploiter l'art pour le rendre utile pour ma société, dans la société de tous les jours. Du coup, ACAN, c'est une école. Et ça nous a permis de nous améliorer, que ce soit là, dans la rédaction des projets, dans le lobbying, dans les relations internationales, etc. Du coup, c'est une école qui ouvre ses portes à tout le monde. C'est une école et c'est une chaîne aussi de soldats qui sont là en train de revendiquer, de se battre pour le bien surtout de notre patrie, de l'Afrique, je dirais, et du monde. Thank you. Hello?
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yeah, thank you. I'll circle
I don't
back
know
to
if
you.
Ansel or someone here who can also translate it in English. Otherwise,
Yeah, I was hoping Ansel would jump in, but
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I can also try to summarize it for you, or I don't know.
If you're comfortable enough, that would be great to just summarize it in as short as possible. As you can.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I was saying that I'm a member of ACAN since the beginning. So the first time that we have met, it was in Dakar, in Senegal. It was the first time that ACAN members, artists, and activists gather in Dakar to work in this project. So we called it ACAN. And also at that time, we had in Senegal an activist that we call Barthélémy Diaz, who have been put in jail. So with the collaboration of with other artists, we have made an action. So I will not say that our action make the government let him free, but I will say that it's contributed a lot in the liberation of Barthélémy Diaz. So with ACAN, we have learned a lot. It's just like in a school that help artists to know how to use the artistic. I don't know, English is a little bit, so we will try to do it. So it's
perhaps use the artistic voice or expression.
Yes, to expression and to be useful for our community. So ACAN, it is in a school, also a group of soldiers who are here to fight for equality, for different causes. I don't know if it is the right word to say. So I will let Ansel to come and summarize it. Otherwise, it will be not easy for me to easily to summarize all of what I said in English.
Yeah. Yeah, but from what I understood also, you said you don't really have any particular artistic expression that you allow. So people can use film, music, spoken word. Everyone is free to come from the little French that I know. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
will
for
put a
sure.
link. Yes, so I will put a link in the chat about how people can join ACAN. But I would like to circle back to Kulu, and I guess we're going to take on a more serious tone here. My question is, how do you balance the tension between art as an authentic expression and a political activism? How do you not overly lean into one of them, or how do you strike that balance? And also, how do you strike that balance? Cool. I'd like to hear your views on that.
I think art and activism are one thing, because the fundamental reason as to why art should exist is to communicate. So I think if you create something that is strikingly beautiful, of which I love to create things that are beautiful, but that have a deep rooted meaning and communication to what's happening. It can be corruption, it can be the abuse of power, it can be the mine spill in the Kafue River. So I think the best art is not just decorative. It must touch into the spirit of the time. It should, upon encountering it should move you to compel you to want to make a positive change. So I think and I feel activism and aesthetics are one and the same, language. Yes. So I think you just have to come to a place where, the beauty into what is happening at the time, because art should speak of the times.
Thank you. Very well put. So there is no separation. It's one thing altogether. Okay, that's very nice. Um, Odelia, my next question is to you. How do you break cultural and linguistic barriers? So you had spoken of how you mix different languages and dialects because you're speaking to a Pan-African audience or a global audience even. So I'd like to find out how you manage those challenges and without diluting the message too much, or do you just maybe you can elaborate on how you do that, how you navigate those linguistic barriers and how you approach that? Yeah, let's put it that way. How do you approach the linguistic barriers of Pan-African and even global audience?
Yeah, so as I said before, one is through multilingual expressions. That is blending local dialects, in one song. That is the Swahili and other forms of other languages in one song. Because, this helps us reflect Africa's diversity. Why uniting its people? For example, the African Rising song, there are verses that are in Swahili, in Fulani, in Wolof, English, Korean, all. And of course, it helps listeners to be part of the song. The other way is by collaboration across borders. So working with other artists from different regions, it brings authenticity and of course it brings inclusivity. So it lets the different audiences see themselves present, in the song or in the music that we are doing. So the other is, I can say it's universal emotions. That is, we mostly say music speaks emotion fluently. It does not need to be translated. It does not need to be explained more, because you can tell you can tell a deeply local story, for example, about a community that is resisting displacement, or something about youth unemployment. You can talk about Dande, about that, paired with a rhythm, a beat, a hook that transcend language, And of course, as an artist, staying authentic amid commercial pressure is another thing. One thing we should know is that not every song that you do is a hit song. But the one thing for sure is that every song can have its own impact in society. So you have to choose not to water down your artistic or your activism messages for radio friendliness. So if the message, mostly people say if the message is inconvenient for the market, you just so know that probably you are telling the truth. Because if it's convenient, then you are not telling the truth. But if it's inconvenient for people to hear, then you are doing the right thing. The other way is by being a creative artist, creative activism. So sometimes catchy songs can actually still carry radical ideas. If the people you are singing for, if the people you are playing the song for, if the people sing the songs and at the same time it makes them think about the particular issue, then you're actually doing the job in both ways. So the other I can say it building independent, platform for yourself as an artist. Leaning on collective, for example, like the Africans Rising and others. It lets you bypass commercial gatekeepers because it helps you build local, cause-driven community, people who value actually messages over mass appeal. So actually, the goal isn't just going viral, but it's going vital. It helps you spark real conversations and actions. So, if I may say, to break cultural and linguistic barriers, why staying true to the cause, why staying true to the activist roots, you have to mix language, you have to mix styles, stories to connect across differences. You have to collaborate across borders with other people to share unity in diversity. You have to, as an artist, you have to balance artistic freedom with strategic messages. You also, this one is very important. You have to, you need to refuse to dilute the truth for market comfort. And of course, always use music not just for entertainment, but to organize, to mobilize, to heal. Because always know that making history with harmony is very important. So that is what I can say.
Thank you very much. Well put. That was very powerful. Thank you very much. You touched on a lot of things. I like how you talk about the purity of the art and how you're not chasing a hit, but you want to send a message, and also the inconvenience of the truth. I think there's a lot of art that's created to be very convenient and not to move things. But considering our topic today, I think we're talking about very inconvenient art. My next question goes out to David. I've talked about the borders and the language barriers that are there. I'd like to now talk about something a little more nuanced in that I want to talk about generational barriers. When you're crafting your spoken word, when you're writing a poem, when you're thinking of a message, I wanted to find out if you lead on any oral tradition or if you have any strategies that can bridge generations and sort of have a connection with that divide. Because I've noticed with a lot of art, there's a lot of generational divide. There's old artists and new artists. So how do you go about bridging those two divides, the old and the young? So how do you bridge generational divide?
Okay,
David, the floor is yours.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so firstly, when we say something is a bridge, it is a connection between what was to what can be. So when something is a bridge, it means you are moving from your present position into the next destination. So now poetry itself connects with oral tradition and central wisdom through today's realities. So now in Nigeria, there are a lot of things Fela said that is literally like happening in today's Nigeria. Minimum wage is literally not even up to a price of bag of rice. And everybody is saying, wow, these were the things Fela said. Now, for me as a poet, I've come to understand that one of the ways we are going to bring forth change as activists, as writers, as singers, or wherever we are, is looking at today's realities and looking at what has happened in the past. Because what we need to understand is that poetry itself is a prophecy. Poetry itself is prophecy. If you listen to different poems, you literally understand that it is really connecting with today's reality. And as a poet, I try to connect it with ancestral wisdom and different things. For instance, there's a quote that says, "Until the lion learns the written word, every tale will praise the hunter's sword." And I say something like this: My mother once said that until the lion learns the written word, every tale will praise the hunter's sword. Or my grandfather once said. So now poetry itself becomes relevant when we are connecting it with real life realities. And these are one of the things we really need to understand. And for instance, so I did a content for the African Rising. And the first thing that came to my mind was Africa is rising. The African rising. Africa is rising. So these are the things we need to understand, that poetry itself can be a bridge if we connect it to today's reality. And as a poet, I really try to connect it with today's reality. I really try to look at what is happening, what is trending, what is actually happening in today's Africa, because we really need to speak as poets. We really need to speak as activists. And one of the ways to push activism really well is through poetry. Like I was saying, I've seen poetry move in different ways. And we need to understand that there is no longer light at the end of the tunnel. It is time for us to bring our lights to the end of that tunnel. Because a whole lot of people have been waiting for too long. And as poets, we need to connect every single thing. Because in Africa, poetry didn't just begin on paper, it began on tongues. The storytellers, the praise singers who were first activists of truth. In my view, modern poetry is simply the digital echo of that oral tradition, carrying essential reading into contemporary resistance. So through poetry, we don't just write history, we perform continuity. And as a poet, I really try to connect this with today's reality and whatever has happened in the past so that it becomes really, really relevant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. At this juncture, I would like to basically open the floor to some of our listeners if they have any questions or even contributions to add to this chat. As we said, it's a very interactive chat. So would like to hear your views or any questions or clarity that you might want from some of the speakers. So please do feel free to raise your hand and then we can unmute your mic and you can take the floor. Okay, I'll take it that there was so much clarity that there was no need for any questions, and everyone's contributions were so succinct that no one actually had anything more to say. It's very hard to follow David after David speaks, so I'll take it as that. At this point, I do invite any of the speakers if they have any closing remarks or anything that they would like to say that maybe I might have missed, or any questions that they would like to pose to each other as well. It's very interactive. So please, if any of the speakers have anything to say or any remarks, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Doris. I've just seen that message. I was a bit nervous when starting, but thank you very much. Okay, I'll take it there are no more contributions or questions, so I'll just give a brief summary and close this interactive chat. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to thank all the speakers for their very, very enlightening contributions. And as I had alluded to earlier, when I was asking the question, I think I said the world and Africa are going through turbulent times, and there's always a place for art. There's always a place for art to speak, and it's very powerful and it's very encouraging to see people who are interested in that. For more such sessions and more such discussions, you can always follow African Rising on, I think, basically every platform. There's also a link in the chats that you can use to actually become an African Rising member. We don't only do art talks, obviously, we do other things, so you can learn more about that and also learn more on our social media platforms. Otherwise, thank you very much for you all for making time. I know in these times it's very difficult to make time, but your time is very much appreciated. And perhaps the last thing I can ask all the speakers to do is maybe they can invite people to follow them on their social media pages. So perhaps you can tell people your social media handles or something like that, so that people can connect with you and also follow your art. So perhaps we can give the floor to David, Kulu, Odelia, and Hassan to just maybe share your social media handles before we close off, so that people can follow you. We can start with Odelia.
Yes, so of course, you can follow me on my YouTube channel at Odelia Koroma. It's the same for AudioMark, and it's the same for TikTok. Yes, so thank you very much. Thanks for having me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kulu?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. You can follow me on Instagram. Kulu is my Instagram handle. You can interact with me from there, and check my body of work from that platform. Thank you so much.
All right. Just seeing that Doris has a hand up, so maybe before we go to the other speakers to say their social media handle, we can have Doris to say something. Tech support, could you unmute Doris? In the time when we're unmuting Doris, perhaps you can write your social media links or follows in the chat so people can follow you. Tech, kindly unmute Doris so she can speak.
Okay, thank you so much, Comrade, for that session. I really appreciate. And to all our speakers, you've really challenged my status quo. I'm now viewing art in a different lens from the way I've been viewing it as always. So I will just like to encourage each and every one of us on the call today, when it comes to art and advocating in different spaces, never underestimate the quiet power of your conviction. Even when the world seems unmoved, your voice matters a lot. And every time you speak for freedom or anything that you are advocating for through activism, you are planting seeds in places that can never be seen, but in the future we will reap. Thank you so much. I submit.
Thank you very much, Doris, for that contribution. David, any closing remarks and your social media handles?
Okay. For Instagram, which I'm mostly active on, at Poetic Dave, and let's say TikTok too, at Poetic Dave. Same thing with Facebook, at Poetic Dave. So everything is Poetic Dave. But Instagram, I'm really active there, and you see a lot of videos that I hope will inspire you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Hassan, the floor is yours for your Instagram handles and any closing remarks as well.
Thank you. So for me, it's still Hassan on Facebook and the other social medias. You can follow me. It's still Hacen Diallo. And I just would like to add something, would suggest something next time to open it in French, in Arabic. It will be more inclusive. So I have noticed there was a lot of French people that I know who wanted to be part of this session, but with the first 2 minutes, they understand that they will not be able to follow all the conversation because it was in English. It can reduce the amount of people we would be able to have in this kind of important discussions. So it is a request that or a suggestion that I'm sharing with you to some next time to do it in English and French and Arabic also. So because the message that we are sharing here is important for all of them to be able to get it. Yeah, thank you. So I will end by saying that ACAN is open for all of you, and I think that is very interested profile who are here that will like to have them with us. We'll like to have them in ACAN. Thank you.
How can people join ACAN? Is there a link that they can click or is there a form? Are you able to share it in the chat for everyone?
Right now, we only have a WhatsApp group. Otherwise, the most of publication that we do in the past years was through African Rising, and there is also a Facebook page that I can share. But I will let to answer when she came because she wanted to. We are going to share a link that people will be able to register. So we will share it with you, and people can follow Africans Rising platform, so they can get information and all of that.
Okay. All right. I have shared the link to your Facebook. I think that's the one. And then, yeah, and so would like to speak as well. Tech, could you give Ansel the floor?
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm sorry I got disconnected due to network issues. But I just wanted to say to everyone who joined the call, I'll send you an email with the form, the link to join the ACAN, because there's so many great things that the ACAN is planning after today's webinar. And if you'd like to be a part of it to push this network, and of course, the dream for the ACAN is for it to be, an independent arts collective in Africa. So we're going to start from here and definitely would get there. Thank you to everyone who joined today's conversation. Thanks to our speakers for coming here. And I think El Hacen, your comments are noted on getting or at least on making this happen in multiple languages. I think this was a first, and it's obviously not the end. We're going to have more of such conversations, and we'll try to make it in several languages. Thanks to everyone who joined.
Okay, thank you very much. I think on that juncture, I'd just like to say thank you to the speakers and everyone who made time. Do have a good afternoon, and please, like I said, please follow the African Rising page for more such engagements, and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you very much. My name is Itati G Dzekedzeke. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, too.
Thank you.
The African Rising.